What's cracking, everybody? Hey, it's TennesseeVapor15 back with another video. Today's going to be a little bit different of a video. I'm going to talk about myself a little bit. So, I'm currently 18 years old. I vaped a long time ago, then I stopped. I also dipped a long time ago, and I stopped dip. So, there's a reason that I stopped all that. And it's because I was sent to the hospital. So, in December of 2016, I started having pain in my spleen, and nobody knew what it was at the time. And it was just the worst pain I'd ever experienced. Then my eyes started turning yellow, my skin started to turn slightly yellow. And then I went to several different doctors, got pain meds, got tramadol is one that helped a little bit. But all that really helped was taking really hot showers. So, I ended up going to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital here in Nashville, Tennessee. They admitted me and then discharged me the next morning with ibuprofen and told me to go to clinic the next month, which would be January. So then, a few days go by, and it's Christmas. I didn't go to Christmas with any of my family. I stayed home because I was in such terrible pain. I thought I was going to be able to make it, but I couldn't. So, instead of that, they brought the presents to me. My dad did, and I opened them all. And nobody saw my reaction to the presents that I got, which I was, I was a 16-year-old kid at the time. I was really excited. I loved getting clothes and stuff like that, just silly stuff like that. Like, here's a present I got. It's Hillary Clinton toilet paper. Silly presents like that. I just love that kind of stuff. I also got a shop vac, a bunch of other stuff in my truck, just random stuff. I really didn't enjoy that Christmas at all. Then the next day, the day after Christmas, I was admitted to the hospital at Vanderbilt again. This time, they didn't know what was going on again. So then they called University of Alabama at Birmingham, UAB. Doctor there named Dr. Singal knew exactly what was happening. It was a porphyria crisis. I had erythropoietic protoporphyria, if you want to look it up. It's a rare genetic blood disorder where my body creates too many phototoxins, and when I go out in the sun, my skin burns. And there's a 3 to 5% chance that it can harm the liver. Well, I was part of that 3 to 5% chance. I fell in that category. So, the doctor there gave me a round of heman, which my body didn't make enough of. And yeah, so he gave me heman, pain medicine. I was weaned off of that, and then I was sent back home. I was back to normal, back to my teenage self for a little while. Stuff was kind of hard because I'd been in the hospital for a little while and such. But then I kept going. I kept getting sicker and sicker. So I would go to Vanderbilt more and more and more and more and more in admissions. And then finally in March, I had a permanent admission. That permanent admission, throughout the time, I was on liver failure. So my liver failed, and I was put on the liver transplant list. And then I was intubated and ventilated because my stats were at 88. so I couldn't breathe very well. And then later that night, I was trached, which I got this lovely scar from. So then after that, I was trached for 6 months. All the doctors acted like it was just a pissing contest. Everybody wanted to be the boss, but nobody wanted to pull the trigger. Doctors were literally yelling at each other during the rounds. It was just terrible. I just wanted to cry. I wanted to die. That's how bad it was. I prayed to God that I would die. And he obviously was like, no, you're too strong for that. I'm not going to let you die. And it was a terrible time because I just wanted to sleep and sleep and sleep. But my mom made me stay up during the day and watch TV and sleep during the night, which I hated. I just wanted to sleep all the time. But the doctors made me, and my mom made me. So, all that happened. I was trached. I had pneumonia, so that's why I got sent to the PICU and intubated and trached and all that. And then it got me bumped up higher on the liver transplant list. So that made it go a little bit better. So one morning at 2 a.m., my mom got a phone call, and they said, we got a liver for you. The next morning, at around 11 o'clock, they said it wasn't going to work. The liver was too big. So after all my family had got their hopes up, it just didn't work. There's nothing anybody could do about it. It was just too big for my body to handle. So then, after that, we finally got another phone call, and it was a liver. And it was a good liver for me. So they transplanted my liver, and after my liver transplant, I didn't move a muscle. I couldn't move my head. I could barely open my eyes. I couldn't talk, of course, because I was trached. But I couldn't move anything. The doctors didn't know what happened at first, so they had my mom contact another doctor and look at medical journals and see what was going on. And finally, they realized it was peripheral neuropathy.
I'm here.
Sorry about that. It was peripheral neuropathy, so I couldn't move anything, but eventually I would come back to where I could move. So physical therapy and occupational therapy helped me get up to the side of the bed. At one point, it took four people just to get on the side of the bed. I was still stuck with the vent, and the vent would pop off, of course, and my alarm would go off. The nurses would come rushing in. But we had it under control. But it took four people to sit me up on the side of the bed, and I didn't do any of the work. It was all them. So finally, it slowly got easier and easier, and eventually I was able to sit. I was able to use a slide board and have them assist me into getting a wheelchair. A slide board is basically just a piece of wood that you use to put on a bed and put your wheelchair, put from a car to a wheelchair, and slide. Easy concept, slide board. Yeah. So then they helped me get to a wheelchair, and they would push me around a little bit. They'd push me around my room a little bit and kind of just make me sit up in it. They made me sit up on the tilt table. And I did not like that at the time at all. Because it made me stand, and my body could not withhold standing. My legs were not strong enough. They're still not strong enough to stand at this point. Although yesterday I did stand for 7 minutes and wash dishes for the first time in 2.5 years. So that was a first, and that was a good accomplishment. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that. But anyways, back to the story. They put me in the wheelchair, and I couldn't go anywhere because I was on this ventilator. And I just sat there, and they used a tilt table, and just little things to help me try to be able to stand again and tolerate weight through my legs. Anyways, after I got my liver transplant, everything started to smooth out. I got to go back onto the floor. The just regular HEMOC floor. It was quite the experience. The nurses there took good care of me, although not all the nurses were that great. Vanderbilt's not that great of a hospital whatsoever, but there were good nurses and good doctors. So, anyways, a few months later, I go for a bone marrow transplant, and me and my mom have to sign this contract saying that we won't get any nursing staff or nursing care or anything like that because we're getting a bone marrow transplant because they considered it rooming in. So basically, I had no care, and while I had no care, I went for the transplant, and I couldn't get it due to my levels being too high. So Mom went to 2 different doctors, Dr. Franklin in Centennial and Dr. Adam Nelson in Centennial. And they both said that this chemo regimen would have killed me. So we left Vanderbilt. We went to Centennial. We were in Centennial for 9 months. I was there, I got therapy until I was able to use the Sarah Steady and stand a little bit. I still can't stand quite as well as I should be able to. It just assisted me and helped squat, basically. Then I used a tilt table there, but I got in my wheelchair and I wheeled around. I was able to wheel to the gym and stuff like that. And I would practice wheeling with my feet and wheeling back with my hands and feet back. But during the time, I had compression fractures in my back. So I have osteoporosis in my back and legs and feet. So I have to be really careful with everything, with the weight bearing. And so after my stem cell transplant, which was in September, I was able to get stabilized and more stabilized. And then I was transferred to Centennial in Nashville, Tennessee, which Cincinnati was in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I've been all over the state. I've been to Alabama, I've been to Cincinnati, Ohio, and back to Nashville. And when I got back to Nashville, the doctor greeted me, and they were so proud of my progress that I've done, and they got me to where I was able to slide on the sliding board and wheel in a wheelchair good, and I would practice in the hallway wheeling in a wheelchair. But their therapy team was not the greatest, so that was kind of a downfall of everything. So there's always that one thing each hospital has that's kind of shitty. This case was the therapy. The therapist, she would be with me for like 12 minutes and then act like she knew my whole story. So then I got this power assisted chair from this guy named Zach, and he was a vendor, and I got to demo it. So now I'm getting, this next Thursday, I'm getting my new power chair. See, you can tell I'm in a wheelchair. You can see my wheelchair. Nothing fancy whatsoever. So yeah, that's my life right now. Therapy now is working with me to get standing. Like I said, I stood for 7 minutes the other day, and that was the greatest accomplishment I've had in quite a while. So, anyways, after I was discharged from Centennial, I came home and I fell. I fell transferring from my bed to my wheelchair, and I got readmitted because I had cracked some of the fractures in my back. And then several other things happened, and I got sick, and I've just been in the hospital. But finally, I've been out for quite a while, and I feel great. So, yeah, that's pretty much my story about me getting sick. I didn't get out until March of 2019. So, yeah, I was in the hospital for quite a long time. So, this is TennesseeVapor15 was the story. I'm signing off. Thanks for listening.